I'm Carrie Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Carrie Stinson, and this is Purple Roads. Welcome to Purple Roads. My name is Carrie Stinson, and as always, I'm thrilled to have you here. This week we have a really special episode. We have Erica Rhodes. If you remember Barney days, Erica Rhodes, but now Danielle Vega. Danielle, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh my goodness, it's very exciting to have you here. We did work together once.
Yes, we did. One of my last episodes, I think. I came on as a dancer, and at that point, you were the Barney man.
You know, I always thought that was special. They did that a couple times where they brought kids back that had grown up and brought them in roles to dance or just visit as a teenager or getting older as an adult. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
So many places I want to go here today, but I want to start off. Everyone wants to hear, and I want to hear how you got involved. And Barney, I know that you were born in Atlanta, but raised in Dallas.
Yes.
And so, how did you end up auditioning for Big Purple Dinosaur?
So, well, we moved to Texas, to Dallas, when my mom remarried. So that's what brought us into the Lone Star State. But I've always had just some sort of a spark, I guess my mom says, where I just loved entertaining people. I was always singing and dancing. I blame her. She had me in all kinds of stuff from, a very young age. But she saw an advertisement in the newspaper. We had those back then.
Wow,
I'm showing my age a little bit.
Don't worry about that. I'm trying not to show my age each week. And this was, by the way, this was season 4 of Barney and Friends?
Yes. So, 1994, I believe. Okay. So I would have auditioned back in 92 or 93. But yes, an advertisement in the paper. They had an open call. Not saying that it was actually for the show Barney and Friends, but for a children's series. And it was a long audition process, at least 4 or 5 different calls in, and the last one was with the producers of the show, and I had to sing happy birthday to Barney the stuffed animal, which I thought at the time was a little weird. I was like, okay. So I did it, and oddly enough, they wanted me to be a part of the road show initially, but then they changed their mind and wanted me to be a series regular on the PBS series.
That's funny because you would have joined me if you would have.
I know. We would have met a long time before we did.
We would have, but I think it was great that you got to be on Barney and Friends.
Yeah, no, it was so much fun.
So let's talk about that. You find out that you're going to be on Barney and Friends. What were you thinking?
I vaguely remember getting the phone call. So my mom took the call first, and she called me in, and the phone was a wall phone.
Sure. Yeah.
So I grabbed the phone, and I believe it was one of the producers actually calling and telling me that they wanted me to be on the show at that point. And I mean, I was excited. I don't think it really dawned on me until after I hung up, and that's when I started screaming. And this was my first big role. I mean, I'd been in acting classes. We'd, had the ability to put ourselves on tape, for scenes that we did in class, but this was an international television show. So the excitement was there, but then again, it was on a whole other level when I first saw myself on television. Forget, going to set and filming and that whole process, because that's another story in itself. But seeing myself on TV,
You know, because I always wonder about that from the kid's perspective, that you want to audition, but do you realize when you're auditioning, you may get the job and then you may be on TV?
Right, right, right. So it was, I mean, it was amazing. Thankfully, I think because it was, or it is, a children's show, they know how to handle kids.
Right.
So it was always a fun process, from the auditioning to even there was even a training, I guess, process
Yeah.
with Miss Penny, where she, would see how well we could pick up choreography. So it was all made to be fun. um I think I think the only time where it wasn't fun was when I actually got to set for the first time. It was for um for Barney's Sensational Day. That was my first experience on set, and I didn't have my lines memorized until we started filming. Oh my goodness. Miss Penny was livid. She was everybody's mom, seriously.
Yep.
And it felt like it. I felt like I was going to go to timeout, or I was going to go to bed without dinner, you know?
Yeah, we talk about Miss Penny a lot on this show, and she's just such a special person.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, I know exactly. I had been through that with her as well, and yeah, I learned not to do it again.
Oh, I know. That was the first and last time I arrived on set having, my lines not memorized. So I learned my lesson for sure.
So, what was your first thoughts? Was it the set, or the amount of people, or obviously the dinosaurs?
I think it was the sets. I knew David. David was actually my first acting coach.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I was familiar with him. I knew I would see him, and I think that in itself created a sense of comfort. Um, so I
Yeah,
wasn't.
I'll bet that really helped a lot,
It did.
with
It
David
did for
Joyner
sure.
playing the role of Barney at that point.
Yep.
That had to have
Yep.
helped a lot.
Oh yes, because I was 9 going on 10.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so it's, I don't know, it was a little nerve-wracking. But you're upstairs in the classroom, you meet all of the other kids, and there's a sense of comfort there too, because you're not the only one. And for them, I mean, well, for Barney Sensational Day, I was the only new person coming in. But, working with veterans like, I mean, Kurt was in
Oh
that
yeah.
episode. I'm blanking, I'm remembering their character names, Tasha and Carlos. Uh, Hope Cervantes,
Okay. Yeah.
um, who played Tasha, and I can't remember Carlos. But working with them, who had been on the series, the show for years at that point. So it was nice. It was nice. They didn't hold my hand, but they were there if I needed help, which was great. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad, to be honest. I don't remember any negative things outside of me not knowing my lines. So yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Well, that happens to the best of us. I mean,
Right. We only want to remember the good.
I try to explain to people that, I mean, there's a lot going on. Um,
Yeah.
with a show like that, not only do you have to remember lines, but you've got to dance. And in your
Yes.
case, as a kid actor, you've got three dinos that you've got to watch out for.
Right.
We've talked about this on the show. You're dealing with, for each dino, a body actor and a voice actor.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's a challenge, and then choreographers and directors and four cameras, and so that's a lot for a 9-year-old.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I do remember, I mean, speaking of just the cameras standpoint, working with so many, that was something new, for sure. And at one point, again, this is just, adolescence at its
Sure,
best.
sure.
Thinking that I knew better because I didn't want to be on it was a bench that they had put around the tree in the playground area, and I was told to stand up there and sing the closing song, and I was like, well, there's no way the camera's going to see me up here, so I'm just going to jump down and stand next to everybody else. Well, one, you're not the producer or the director, so I did it, and they were like, look, this camera is covering you, so just stand up there and sing the song, okay? Oh, my bad. Gotcha. So yes, it was all a learning experience for sure.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What was it like for you when you saw yourself on TV for the first time?
I think I cried. I seriously cried. I would wake up every morning around 7:30 because that was how much time I needed to get dressed, eat breakfast, and get ready for school. And it was, I think it came on at like 8:30 in the morning or something to that effect.
Yeah,
Um,
it was early.
yeah, so I would wait until the very last minute just to see the opening, to see if like one of my episodes was going to air. And I remember my mom was always like, "Hurry up, hurry up." And I was like, "Just wait, one more second, one more second." Oh my God. So it was amazing. I mean I still kind of freak out now when I see myself on any type of major platform just because it is. I mean, there are a lot of kids that audition for Barney. There are a
Yes.
lot of actors who audition for shows every day. So to be chosen to be one of those kids or someone who is going to have the ability to be seen by so many people, it's, I mean, you never really get used to that. So,
I feel the same way. So I'm with you on that. But I think it's got to tell you that they really saw something because it's more than acting, with
yeah.
the singing and the dancing and the being able to follow the choreography and being able to, most people don't understand. You can get run over by one of those dinosaurs if
Oh,
you're in a
seriously.
spot you're not where you're
Seriously.
supposed to be.
Oh yeah. No, they would tell us all the time that, their visibility was something to look out for.
Right.
So, and we would, especially, I mean, when David would do the turns, the jumps, like it was, yeah.
Well, and
You had to be
we're
mindful.
counting on you as performers. We understand your children, but at the same time,
Right.
you're professionals,
Yes.
and you're expecting them to be where you say you're going to be. I mean, we rehearse
Yes.
these things, and so it always doesn't happen, and we miss spots too. But it's a lot for a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also, I mean, I remember it mostly being fun. So, and when I say mostly, like all of my memories are fun memories. So, and it's, I mean, priceless experience for sure. I mean, I always lean on that experience and that I don't know, that first taste of what it really meant to be on a real set. So,
It's pretty special.
yeah,
It's pretty special. Do you have favorite moments or favorite episodes?
I do. Um so Barney Sensational Day, just because it was my first, and it was a lot of fun. I think the Captain Pickles sequence that we did will always have a special place in my heart because Speedy Girl was so much fun. That was yeah, I mean that one will forever be my favorite. But Barney in Outer Space was really cool too. There was another, I can't remember which episode it was, but we actually reused the fruit costumes that we had in Barney Sensational Day
Oh,
in another episode. So I was oh my gosh, now I'm blanking on actually what I actually wore. But I know that in when we reused them, I was the apple, which is what Hope was in the first one. And it was cool just to, I don't know, just see that recycled, and then just, I mean, you're getting the same message. Barney means something totally different to me as a mom now.
Right.
But
Oh, I'll bet.
just I don't know. Everyone has a special place. There were lots of fun times on set. Walking on to sets. I think uh, the outer space episode was so much fun just because the sets were so amazing and detailed. And like you said, with previous kids coming back and making cameos, I think Pia was actually,
Oh, was she?
yeah, she played the there was a robot that we met on on the uh on the planet that we went to, and she played the robot.
So much fun. So
Yeah.
much fun. Yeah, I think people don't understand too. When Barney did videos, they were a little bit more elaborate
Yeah.
than the Barney and Friends, than the
Yeah.
episodes.
Oh yeah. And they, I mean, they would just go all out on those sets. I think that it would take them at least a week to put some of those things together. I would always try to take something from each episode. I didn't achieve this by any means, but I would always try to take something. And we were able to keep our little jackets, our astronomy club jackets from that episode. Um, and I still have most all of those things somewhere at my mom's house.
Well, as you can see behind me, I have several things. Uh,
Yes.
it seems to grow each week, but yeah, I've got some of those trains back there were from the Barney and Friends set.
Oh my
They were in
goodness.
the
That's so cool.
caboose, and then of course I got Barney's library card behind me too. So I have a few things myself. What was it like coming back? And you were a dancer on the episode. What was it? Dance with Me that you were
Yes,
on?
I believe so. Yes. It was, I mean, it was cool, seeing how much the show had grown at that point. Um and I was I was grateful to see familiar faces. So it
And
was nice that even though I believe, I mean, Lyric was no longer a part of it at that point.
that was
Um
Hit Entertainment at that time.
Yes. So Hit Entertainment. And it was, I mean, still nice that they kept, some of the same crew. But it was cool. It was a lot of fun. More kids, more kids, I
Yes.
realized, which again, just opens the pool to give so many more an opportunity, which I thought was wonderful. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually watched a bit of it the other day. There's been
Oh,
a
that's fun.
funny little rendition of it going around.
Ah,
They changed the music to
of
a rap
course.
song. Yes. Those things, they just make me laugh. But
It's just always a big compliment when they still put Barney out there, which I
yes,
love.
yes, whether in a meme or
Yes.
whether just, off the cuff on a line in a show or something to that effect. I'm like, Barney, they know the purple dinosaur. So it's cool.
When you came on that episode, did you get to talk to the kids? Did the kids talk to you? Were they curious, your experience?
I don't know if they actually knew that I had been on the show
Oh, okay.
before. I didn't get a chance to talk to them. I guess I might have run into a couple of them when I was in the fitting room. But not I didn't really get a chance to talk to them. I think that would have been cool to do that, just to see, their take, um or on their experience on the show. But and I don't think I thought to do that either. I wish I had. I wish I had.
It's every time I get in these conversations, the memories just start flowing back. Um, that was in Carrollton. You
Yes.
originally shot in Las Colinas.
Yes. Yep. Yep. We shot at the same sound stage that Walker, Texas Ranger filmed at. So that was cool. Every time you would walk in, they just had posters and posters of everything that had filmed there. I think they had shot some scenes of like one of the Terminator movies and some other stuff. So much history. I think, and I mean, on our walks, because we would take breaks, like when we were there for schooling, we would walk around the whole campus, And that was always a lot of fun because you would see every different part, and sometimes they would have, like their historical sets still
Sure.
built up, so you could see all of that. And again, it just added to the whole effect of it being real.
Yeah, I think I know it surprises people that this was done in Texas,
Yeah.
and that we were doing things like that in shows like
Yeah.
Walker, Texas Rangers, and a lot of movies were shot there.
Yes. Yes. No, it was cool. I thought I think, my mom initially thought that we would have had to go to California, but I think that, I mean, given that they were doing it in Texas, it created more opportunity, because it was a not nonprofit, but it was non-union.
It was non-union.
So yeah, I didn't have to. I didn't, and I didn't. I didn't realize that until later on. But when I moved to Los Angeles after college,
Different ball game.
yes, yes, totally different ball game. But again, I mean, even when I moved to LA, like some people weren't even scratching the surface of the experience that I got from doing Barney and Friends. So non-union or not,
Oh,
I
absolutely. I didn't even have an agent.
oh wow. Oh
Which,
that well, I me too. I got my agent after I joined the cast.
well, there
So,
you go.
yep,
Yeah, I didn't have one either. So that was definitely a benefit for me as well.
that's
Well,
cool.
I mean, there's nowhere you can go that they don't know what Barney is. I mean,
Oh no,
it's
exactly. I
amazing.
mean, I'm still surprised that I get fan mail now. I recently got one the other day, and just she included a 4x6 of a
Oh,
screenshot of the show and asked me to sign it. So I
great.
was like, this is awesome. My husband, on the one hand, was like, what is happening? And I was like, oh no, this has happened since I was little, and I
Yeah,
love it. It it's nice to be remembered.
absolutely. Well, and it's such a special show, and I think it's so fascinating that I see it coming back. People ask me about it all the time.
Yep.
The importance of it, it amazes me that this message that I think we really want right now in this country, we were doing back in the 90s with
Right.
this
Right.
unconditional love, loving everyone, being there for everyone, this dinosaur that just loved everyone. And
Yeah. And the
I,
divert the divide oh my gosh, can I talk? The diversity of our cast was phenomenal as well. I always well, one of the episodes that I did was dealt with grandparents,
mhm.
and they had Kim's grandparents actually come to the set. And I asked my mom. So my background, my mom is mixed with Black, Spaniard, and Cherokee Indian.
Oh, wow.
And my dad is white. So
Wow.
I'm very mixed. And I always, like growing up, I always felt like that would hinder me, I guess, in some way, because people were always asking, what are you? What are you? What are you? And not necessarily knowing how to categorize me, I guess. So on the show, I thought I told my mom, I was like, well, who are they going to get to play my grandparents? And they actually got a Black couple, which I thought was cool. And later on, I somehow was able to read like my character description.
Hmm.
They had it in the props department.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and my name was Kim Brown, and I was actually adopted.
Oh, wow.
And I think it would have been cool if they had expanded on that a little bit. But I thought that that was great. That, I mean, just not only diversity in the sense of race, but also diversity in the sense of family you know
Absolutely. And I think what's so important about it is they did it. It wasn't like they were filling a quota,
right,
if that
right,
makes sense.
yes,
Right? They just brought all of us together, and look what a wonderful thing came out of it.
yep,
I
exactly.
Last week's episode was Jeff Ayers, who you
Mhm.
know very well, is Baby Bob.
Yes.
And we talked a lot about little people on this episode.
Yep.
And he said, I never felt like a little person. Everyone
No.
treated me like family. And
Yep.
they would go off the set into the real world and be treated different. And then they come on and it's just Jeff Ayers.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so special. And so, you know, at times I look at what's going on today, I'm like, it's really kind of simple. We're making it much more difficult than it is.
Oh, for sure.
Why can you not just love everyone and support everyone? And goodness gracious.
It's not rocket science.
No, it's not. And I feel like you're just missing out.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
Yep. Because I mean, it takes so much energy to frown
Yes.
and to hate. Like, it's easy just to accept and ultimately love.
Yes.
So I don't know. Just more people just need to watch Barney and Friends.
Well, I agree with that. But you know, it's funny because people would say to me, you know, I don't get this whole dinosaur that just loves people, and you know, I mean, there must be something else behind it. There's nothing.
Nope, that's it. It's kids using their imagination, and ultimately, you know, just he's the personification of what kids want to see, you know, and what they need to see. I feel like, you know, if you
Yes.
have this plush doll that just grows into this amazing being that accepts everyone for, as you know, as they are, and creates these worlds where, you know, bullying isn't a part of it, you know, everything is a lesson learned where it ends with a smile, and letting you know, the individual know that they are loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Well, and I saw things like, you know, for kids that are shy, you know, and things like that,
Yeah.
that, you know, look, it is difficult as a kid to grow up and figure out where we are in this life and make mistakes and things
Still
like that.
doing it. Still doing it.
Well, shoot, I am too. I'm a lot older than you, but I am too. But yeah, if you make a mistake, well, we learn from it. We go on. So,
Yep.
I can talk about this all day with you because I love this. I love this. I love this. And I probably should have brought this up at the beginning, but so we started out as Erica Rhodes.
Yes.
And now Danielle Vega. So where did that come from?
So as I mentioned, Barney and Friends was a non-union series in Texas, you know. So upon moving to California and joining the union, there was another Erica Rhodes that was already a union member. And she's a comedian. I actually worked with her, oddly enough.
Funny how that happens.
But she had the name. So I didn't want to just change the spelling or add, you know, my middle initial. So I decided that I would go by my middle name, which is Danielle. And during that time, so it was 2011 when I moved back to California. But they I was actually a little tired of people always just assuming what I was. Like, yes, I have, you know, a Spanish background by way of my grandmother, right?
Right.
I always just say that I'm mixed. Because I don't want to just choose one part of my background. But I guess ultimately that's what I did with my name. So Vega comes from my grandmother's side of the family, Danielle Vega. It wasn't used. It was an open name, and it was something that, you know, I prayed on and talked to a lot of people about, because I already had credits as Erica. But I had just finished doing a film called So This Is Christmas, and I worked with Vivica Fox, and I asked her what she thought about it, and she was like, you know what? Work with it for 6 months, and if you don't get any bites, then don't change it, or, you know, maybe just change the spelling of your name and still work with Erica Rhodes. And I said, okay. So I adopted Danielle Vega with the thought that, you know, I was going to do it for 6 months, see what happened. And I ended up booking East Los High. So I got my answer and I stuck with it.
And I definitely want to talk about that.
Yes.
Did the name change that lock you in to more of the Latin roles?
It did. It did. Which again is not something that I was anticipating. Um, but I also don't want to, just be put there and stuck there
Sure,
ultimately. For me, again, because I am mixed, I want to be, I want to be thought of for more than just Hispanic or Latino roles. Um, because I do have a diverse background. And ultimately, I mean, anyone can play anything. I mean, unless you
oh,
have
sure,
just a specific character in mind.
right.
But yeah, it's thankfully the door is opening a little bit more now. And I'm constantly promoting my diverse heritage. So I think that also helps too.
And I think that's great. You're probably able to help a lot of people that are in that situation.
It's funny. I mean, before I started really doing research, I didn't realize that there were so many actors now who are actually mixed. Um, I think that if I had actually done my research ahead of time, I would have felt a lot better about my background. Um, but you know, every day is we're learning every day
Sure,
and growing. Like
sure.
the song says, growing, we do it every day. So I'm understanding that now, and it is becoming it's becoming a badge of honor for me.
Do you find as you're building your career that is left behind a little bit more? Your background being mixed, or is that still you're dealing with it every day?
um I think it's so funny. I mean, a lot of people, like, I mean, even with what the world is going through now, we're in a movement, that is centered around race relations.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that as much as, we want to forget about those things, there are going to be times when they're brought to the forefront. And to be honest, I mean, I almost equate it to uh I don't see color or being a non-racist versus anti-racist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want you to see me. I
Sure.
want you to see my background. I want you to
Sure.
see that this is what makes me unique. You know what I mean? Because if you don't see it, what are you seeing? Because this is me,
Right.
and it all helps in making me who I am.
It's well said.
Thank you.
Um, I gotta go to this. So after Barn, not too long after that, you tried out for American Idol,
Yes, I did.
and
I
I
did.
know you've got some reactions from this.
Oh,
And,
yes.
but I think it's I actually watched it again today,
Okay.
and I I originally saw it when it happened and all of that,
Right, right.
and I think it was very brave of you to do. And
Yeah, me too.
I think it's amazing. You saw how the judges ended up reacting from it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think people that are not in this business don't understand how difficult it is
Oh no. I mean, like
to
I
stand
said,
out, to get auditions, to get
yeah,
through. And so I think what you did was amazing. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna let you kind of talk about that.
yeah. Um, wh- so I mean, the American Idol audition is incredible. They pick these huge venues because they know the turnout is going to be just that, huge. So I was at home, and I had gotten into a habit of, like, when I get just, I don't know what you would call it, just frustrated with not having any bites on anything. And this was one of those times where I wasn't working, and I was like, well, I just want to do something. So I would get into the habit of looking on Craigslist. And someone had posted an ad on Craigslist saying that they were looking for someone to audition for American Idol. And basically they had a theory that, you know, if you dress up or something to that effect, you would get further along in the show, right? Um, I replied and I said, I'll do it. I did not know that they were going to have me dress up as a dominatrix. Okay. But I told them, you know, just as long as everything's covered, it's
Right.
fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, so we went to the first audition. I made it through to the producers that were on the show. And after you get through first that first step, they have you fill out a questionnaire. And the last question was, you know, tell us something about yourself that makes you unique or something to that effect. And I
Sure.
was like, I bet you no one else is going to write that they were on Barney and Friends. So I did, and it was almost like just light bulbs, just sparks just going off for these producers after they read it. You were on Barney and Friends? Wait, tell me about that experience. And I was like, okay. And because I think that I got so many like weird questions, like especially with the get up, like,
Oh,
well,
I'll bet. I'll bet.
what are you doing now? You're not a sex worker, are you? And I was like, what? No, no. Oh my God. So it was like, and I couldn't say that I was doing it just for fun, right? And I was
Right.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I wanted to get your attention, you know, and I think that was just my response, you know. So I made it all the way to, you know, the episode where everyone actually gets to see that, you know, you're auditioning versus just the cattle call.
Right.
And um I didn't know that they were going to have me sing the Barney song. So that caught me off guard. Even the question that uh I can't remember who asked, but just the question of like, so what 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 is this? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I mean, it was an honest answer that I just want to show that Barney kids grow up. So, and that's I guess that's what I did.
Well, but you were in front of Simon and Randy Jackson and Neil Patrick Harris, right?
That's who asked me the question. It was Neil
Uh,
Patrick Harris. Yep. Yep. So, and I was, I mean, tears of excitement, tears of joy, tears of, you know, disbelief. That they actually gave me the golden ticket. So, but yeah, that was pretty amazing. I really didn't expect to make it that far.
what would you say your strong? So, is it acting, dancing, or singing that's maybe
It's
your
hard to
strength?
choose. It's hard to choose. Now, right now, in this moment, I would say acting.
Okay.
Um, but it's only because I haven't been training with the other two. So, but I think that that's always been, you know, ultimately what I wanted to do because I felt that I could always incorporate the other two in, you know, whatever project. I could always be an actress who sings and dances. So, and that was more important to me than any other way around.
But to go on American Idol, I mean, that's you got to feel pretty strong about your singing game to go do that.
Yes, and I've never considered myself to be a Beyonce. I'd like to think that I'm more of a Janet Jackson.
Okay.
So, yeah, if that you
Sure,
get it.
because you're well, yeah, because you're going in with the dancing and the performance, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, I'm not going to be holding high notes like that. Like if you
Yeah.
want me to sing and dance at the same time, oh yeah, I'll do it. And
Right.
it's in key. But yeah, I'm no.
So you take the experience of Barney, and now you take the experience of American Idol.
Yeah.
What's next? Where do you go from there?
From there was East Los High. East Los High was next. And that, I mean, I think I was pretty lucky with how everything worked out because I spent my senior year of high school in LA and then moved back to Texas for college.
Okay.
Um, but so the second time around was 2011, and I booked East Los High 2012. It started airing in 2013. And I, you know, from that series alone, It's, an Emmy nominated series. I was nominated for a daytime Emmy.
Wow.
Um, it's, again, just another unforgettable experience that started from, very humble beginnings, because when I auditioned for the series, they didn't even have a platform for it.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, but ultimately Hulu picked it up, and it still lives on there, for everyone to watch. I think the quarantine time
I
has,
bet.
yes, I've had a wave of new fans, just, through Instagram or through Facebook, just reach out letting me know, like, how much they love that series, and how much my character, they could relate to. And it's amazing when that happens. It's cool.
How did the audition? Did they come find you? How did the audition go with that show?
I had an agent that actually got me the audition. I auditioned for every role except the one I ended up booking, and
So
it was
funny.
predominantly females. So
Okay.
there were at least, gosh, 5 or 6 roles that I auditioned for, and I think they had actually booked someone for Ceci, which is the character that I played. Um, but so, after a couple of weeks, I told my husband, I was like, I don't think I got it. Um, it is what it is. I guess we can go. We were going to visit his family. And 2 days into our vacation there, I get a phone call on my cell phone from the casting director, like directly. And she says, "Hi, Danielle. What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing. What are you doing?" But she was really cool. Blanca Valdez, I'll never forget. But she was like, "So we want to offer you the role of Ceci for East Los High." And I was like, "Are you kidding?" And she said, "No." And she said, how quickly can you get back to LA?" Because I had mentioned that I was visiting family in another state.
Right.
And I was like, I can book a flight tonight and be back, tomorrow, or at least, by the next day, early in the morning. And she said, "Great, because we need to get you on wardrobe and they start filming next week."
Wow.
So it was, I mean, everything. When they tell you that everything happens so quickly after, you're booked, like it does. Um, but that was a fun experience. It didn't work out with the other actress who was cast for my role,
Uh,
but it was a blessing. It was a, you know,
well, that's the fun part about this show is to talk about those things because that does happen.
yes.
I
Yep.
remember when I auditioned for Barney and they in front of the Cheryl Leach and Dennis DeShazer, and they said, that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
What does that is good mean, and I didn't hear for a week either, and I'm having those same feelings, you're talking about where you're like, oh, I guess I didn't get it. I felt so
Yep.
good about it, but I guess that's the way it goes. And then you get a phone call, hey, so we're going to need you next, in the next couple of days. And you're like,
Oh
oh
my.
my gosh, I went from all this waiting to here we go.
Yep. 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 I mean, it's crazy. And, you know, we are crazy. People in entertainment are crazy because the
Oh,
highs and
absolutely.
low are so real. You have to get your hopes up. You have to, get yourself psyched to go in and kill these auditions, sometimes 9 times out of 10 to never book them.
Right.
And it's an emotional roller coaster. So when you actually book something, oh my God.
Right. Right. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
How did you get, or have you ever gotten used to, they always tell you you got to get used to the word no,
Uh,
right?
it,
Yeah.
I think it's still hard. I think it knows affected me more when I was actually going in the room to audition. I think for some reason, it's easier now with the quarantine and everything being self-taped.
Right.
I think there's less pressure. Um, so it's easier to let go, I guess.
I get
And
that.
especially, I have a 2-year-old, so it's not like I can hold on to grief for too long. So, um, but it's easier to let go now, I think, and I think that also comes with experience as well. Um, I I don't have I don't have many, like truly like I don't just work that I'm super proud of, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Just because, you have to be a little bit more selective. So you're
Sure.
going to have auditioned more times than you've booked, you
Right.
know what I mean? So I think that that kind of makes it easier to just I don't know, just no is no. No is ultimately another opportunity for a yes.
I like that.
So
I like that. I like that a lot. Um, the other part though is it harder when you've been on shows, like Barney and East Los High and American Idol? Is there a part of you going, well, wait a minute now, I've done this, right? I've, you know, created a career and
I would be lying if I told you no.
right.
I do feel some type of way. um I have to give it up to, my manager and my agent though. Every audition that I get now is are, they're bigger projects. So I'm going up against people that I admire. And when I see, if I don't book it, I'm automatically looking,
Oh,
trying
sure.
to find out who got this part. And then when I see it, I'm just like, well, how was I supposed to compete with that? So I think, and at that point, it's I guess if there's any understanding, then it's that because their credits are greater credits than mine are. Um, but it's still, I'm I don't feel like I have to be that humble. Like being on Barney is a big deal.
Yeah,
Being on a Hulu series for basically 5 seasons is a big deal. And being Emmy nominated is a big deal. And
absolutely it is.
yeah, and I only say it that way because I need to constantly remind myself of that as well.
Sure.
Because, it's hard. It's hard when you haven't worked for a while, and I don't know. I don't want to get too verklempt, just
No,
thinking.
I love that because I talk about this. I was told no so many times. There's no reason I should have gotten the role of Barney and did as many years as I did because you're told constantly,
Yeah.
no, no, no,
Yep.
and it's not personal.
No,
It is
no,
for
it never
whatever
is.
reason,
It never is. And that's another thing that I have to remind myself too. Like, I mean, there are different politics involved in this entire process, and they could have always already had an offer out for someone
Right.
else. There could be investors that are vying for someone in particular. So you never know. And ultimately, I mean, the other thing that I just have to constantly remind myself of is that what's for me is for me. So, and when it comes, I've I'm incredibly grateful for every opportunity that I have, and each one has been a stepping stone for something even better. So now it's just like this is my waiting period, and I have to enjoy this time because when it happens, like we said, it's going to be like that,
Right.
and I just know it's going to be something incredible.
Well, let's talk about East Los High
Mhm.
and Barney, two shows where you had the opportunity to influence.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were able to have, as a kid with Barney, kids look up to you, and
Mhm.
then obviously this other show,
Yeah,
being a teenager. And I know in that, didn't you play a single mom? And
I did. Yes.
so there
So
must have been a lot of inspiration for people watching that show.
yes, one of our sponsors was Planned Parenthood, so
Oh
we
wow!
actually got a lot of good information on how to actually portray those roles as well. Um, and I have friends and some family members who were also in that situation. So just getting their stories and finding ways to incorporate that into Ceci and my portrayal. But no, being on a platform like that was amazing, and I loved that. Those are the types of roles that I like to play. Um, but it was fun. She starts out as a high school mean girl, and isn't really taking precautions with her boyfriend, and finds herself in a situation that she doesn't necessarily want to be in, but ultimately ends up keeping her baby. Uh she she can't have an abortion, because of religious reasons for her. I mean, one of her lines was like, one of her friends is like, well, just get an abortion. And she's like, I can't. And they're like, why? And she's like, I'm Catholic. So she doesn't want an abortion. She thinks about giving her baby up for adoption. But when she's in the situation of living with the family that would ultimately be raising her daughter, she decides that she wants to raise her daughter herself, and she figures out how. And I just loved her strength, because she starts off as a B character, and she had such an the fans had such a positive response to her. They brought me back as a series regular.
Wow.
At that point, so that was pretty amazing to see.
And
And
how did that feel? How did that feel?
it felt really good, to be honest. Again, going into that series, we didn't know what was going to happen with it. We thought that it was just going to be, you know just the first season, and that was it. The hope is always that it'll get picked up, but
Sure.
we didn't know. Um and then when they told us that it was going to be on Hulu, and that they wanted to renew us for another season, and that they were going to be bringing us back, I mean, I didn't even think about the idea of coming back as a series regular. I was just happy to have a job.
Sure. Sure. So what was it like when you got that call?
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. It was awesome. I think right afterward, I called one of my good friends who was also part of the first season, and we were screaming on the phone together. So just coming back on set, and I mean, there were a lot of new characters as well. But coming back on set, and it's almost like a high school reunion type thing. You're
Sure.
seeing familiar faces, you're catching up over lost time, and it's just giving your expectations and talking about the future.
Is how many episodes in a season?
There were, I believe, 24 episodes in the
Okay.
first season, but again, they didn't know what was going to happen afterward.
Right.
So after that, they knocked it down to 12, and they became 22 minutes, I believe. So
Okay.
22-minute, 12 episodes per season.
And what was it for you as an actor to see that character develop and give you so many different places to go with it and so many places to grow with that character?
Oh yeah, no, because I mean, not only is she a single mom, but she found herself in an abusive relationship as well. Um, I just, I love dark. I love, I love underdogs, and I think to a lot of people, Ceci was an underdog. She was the character that she's never gonna figure it out. Um, but she did, and I it speaks, I mean, for her to be a strong Latina, a strong woman, just period. um I had so many examples of that growing up, so to be that character that will live on a show that people can check out and get inspired by, um that it was, I mean, that's what I live for. But the research that I did, and just working with the other characters and making sure that we were all comfortable on set with everything that was going on. Spending time with the little girl who played my daughter on the show, and just making sure that all of the relationships seemed, believable was
Right.
important to me as well.
And what was that like? You being a kid actor,
Mm. It
was
was
that an interesting role for you to kind of
play a
change
mom.
positions? Yeah, play a mom.
Yeah, it was
Kid actor.
cool. That little girl was a firecracker. I couldn't even imagine being on set for the first time at 2, which is what she did. She
Wow.
was cast at 2 years old as my daughter, and she grew up, right before my eyes. Um but her mom is amazing. Still keep in touch with her, but the little girl, Juliana Gamis, she's 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 going to be a force to be reckoned with. She was actually recently in the movie Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so she's doing a lot of things, but her mom, I you really have to give it up not only to Juliana, but to her mom as well. Like, I had no idea what set moms have to go through, just to get their kids on set, to make sure that they're there with the on-set teacher, and just making sure that everything. I have a hard time taking care of myself and making sure I make it to set on time.
Right, right.
Like, I can't imagine having to get my son there, and make sure that his lines are memorized, that we've rehearsed this so that they're not an embarrassment to themselves or to me, So,
Well, did that make you appreciate your mom?
oh, for sure. For sure. Except she didn't help me in my first experience on set, but I forgave her. I forgave her.
So I want to go back a little bit to Barney here.
Okay.
Favorite songs?
Yes. Oh, Mr. Sun, I think. That one's my ultimate favorite. I sing it with Sebastian too, and I'm trying to get him to learn. Sebastian is my son, by the way, if I didn't
Okay.
mention that earlier. I try to get him to do the motions and the movements and everything because I still remember all of this for some reason. Um, but that one and oh, I can't remember the title of it. But in our family, happy as can be. I'm so glad that you belong to my family. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that one.
It was in It's Time for Counting. That was one of the last songs that we sang before the Barney song at the end. So that one is a really fun one that I like as well.
Did you have a favorite one for the dancing part, for the performing part?
Yeah, so Mr. Sun
Yeah,
and
yeah.
oh, I know I don't know the title of this one, but
Sure.
it's cold. Bird.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish I had fur. I wish I was a bear with furry, furry hair. It's cold. It's cold.
Did you ever meet David Voss? He was
Yes,
you got to know David.
yes, yes.
David was on one of the episodes of Purple Roads, and he
Okay.
brought that out and was dancing, and I'm trying to remember that one. I remember that song very well, and I was like, oh my goodness,
Right.
you got to warn me before we're gonna do that one.
It's good. My son looks at me like I'm crazy, but we're in Illinois now, so it's based 9 months out of the year. It's cold and snowing outside, so I sing that one to my son a lot.
I love it. I love it. Um, so we're next with the career. What are you looking for next? What do you want to do next?
I I love staying in the vein of strong women. I just want to continue building my resume with those types of roles for sure. Um, I'm I'm a scary movie buff, so this is just something that I've always wanted to do, is just do a scary movie. um, but that's really the goal, I guess. I I want to get on another series. Um, I want to explore writing a little bit as well. Um, and I don't know where that'll take me, but I have a goal in mind to write a short film. So I want to do that. And I think that, while the quarantine and everyone is at home, it's the perfect time to do that. So we'll see what happens.
It's been just a pleasure having you on and seeing you again.
Yeah.
These are always one of my favorites, is to have the kids actors back. Getting your perspective is so interesting to me, and then obviously seeing where you go and where you grow, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So can I be like one of the American Idol judges and ask you to sing the "I Love You" song also?
Okay. Let me stop smiling. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? I love you. You love me. We're best friends like friends should be, with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too?
So
Yay!
beautiful. I love it. It's funny you said don't smile. How can I not smile
I know,
listening
and
to
I'm
that?
sitting here smiling the whole time too, so.
Well, it's been such a pleasure. So
Thank
proud of what you've done, and I can't wait to see what's next, because there's no question there's something big coming your way, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Purple Roads fans. Remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your Purple Road. I'll see you next week.